What's going on, everyone? This is AJ from Adventure Co Gaming with Battleworn number six. Six, right? Six.
Yes.
Battleworn number six. We are going to be talking about the week that was in Flesh and Blood, which, ProQuest. ProQuest week 2. Got some meta results to talk about. Maybe some other stuff. What we're looking to play, what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be judging a ProQuest. And but before we get all that, I'm AJ. This is Ryan.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Let's go. That said, all right. So let's jump right into it, Ryan. Riptide.
Well, I was literally about to say more good news in the world of Riptide. First, I was banned. Now we finally we got some new spoilers over the weekend. Both of them really good for Riptide. One of them a specialization, and the other one I think is a really good what's it called? I guess you could say filtering card, or kind of like a you know how Rangers have that problem where they might have too many arrows in one hand? It's kind of something that fixes that at least once per game.
Let's start with the bracers. Do you want me to pull it up and read it off like I normally do?
Yeah, I was gonna say. I do remember what it does though.
Yeah. So I will pull it up. And if I was a good show host, I would already have it. But I have gotten into it. Okay. Thank you, Fabrary, for having spoilers readily available. So we got two since last time we talked. So it's Long Draw Half Glove and Murky Water. So the first one, Long Draw Half Glove, is it's a glove piece equipment, blocks for one, Ranger equipment. It says instant destroy this. Put 2 cards from your hand and or arsenal on the bottom of your deck. Your next arrow attack this turn gets +4 and it has Battleworn, so you get to block with it and use the effect.
That's like the only Battleworn equipment that Ranger has. Everything else is Blade Break.
I think they're fixing past wrongs that Ranger has had to deal with.
I think that's fair, finally. It's like they either had Blade Break or Arcane Barrier, so they didn't block at all, so...
Yeah,
but
no, it's been tough for them, right? Because like all the equipment, like you said, Blade Break are not blocking, and I mean Ranger. I don't want them to get a fridge, but I think Battleworn 1 is super fair.
Yeah, Battleworn 1 isn't gonna hurt anybody. It makes it so that instead of just having like Hornet Sting or the Toxic Tips as just a block one, I can use this down the line at least. Like I said, I really like the.
Oh, I'm gonna let you finish. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, yeah, so to answer what I think you're about to ask, yeah, I really like this equipment. I like that it gives you the opportunity, because like I was saying, hinting at earlier, there are a lot of hands, and especially when I was playing Riptide yesterday at the Armory, where I have either too many arrows or arrows and traps, and it's like, man, if only I had something to threaten a little more pressure on this off turn, so that my you could say it's like keeping a momentum. Like, let's say I had a good turn where my opponent had to block, but then I draw all arrows. Yeah. This is a good way of having an on-demand pump for one of your arrows, so that you can, kind of keep up that pressure instead of, like breaking a hand.
Do you think it feels like enough of a meta share to where it's I don't know. You have Trench's Sunken Treasure already that kind of fix a lot of your hands already when you're playing Riptide. I do get that you have like the all trap and all arrow hands that feel not so great, so maybe it's good for that. But it's so hard for me to say like, yeah, I'm gonna play this over Bullseye Bracers. I don't know. It's like those things are so good.
I think when you're playing Riptide, it's better than Bullseye Bracers, because Riptide already has plenty of ways to quote unquote load his arsenal a little bit more easily than Azalea. Azalea, I can see using Bullseye Bracers when she wants to do like a go wide turn over this, but at least for Riptide, and that's the one of the two, the Ranger of the two that I play the most. He can definitely make better use of this card, both in the fact that he probably wants to have more defense overall over the course of the game, so the Battleworn is nice. And then, like I said, having the extra pump on a combo turn or something is kind of nice.
That makes sense. Or, I mean, I totally get it. I just, it's a really good like tool. I guess like that's kind of what Ranger is a lot of, is just a lot of good tools, right? And so this like those like few awkward hands where you're just like, well, I got an arrow in my arsenal. I opted one with Skullbone Cross Wrap. There was another arrow on there. My hand's full of arrows. Just arrows everywhere. I can't find a buff to save my life. Well, you can crack this and still send a pretty decent arrow their way. So
yeah, that's all it is. And like I said, when you're playing Riptide, if you play heavy into the trap lines, it's definitely good for like getting some extra traps out or trying to save them for later. Maybe for some like late game pressure or late game defense when the little bits of health really matter.
I'll say this too. If you're not playing Trench, like if you're playing this in a different deck that doesn't run Trench, you'll probably never do this, but it's an instant, right? So like I was thinking, like if you have to block with let's say you're playing a New Horizon deck and you have to block with it to stay alive, you can instant this to save the 2 arrows. You don't get the +4, right? Because it's not your turn. You're not going to send those arrows this turn, but
yeah, I could see what you mean. Like if you're about to be crippling crushed or something anyway, but you have to save every
yeah, or
that too. But you have to save every card in Ranger because you don't have a weapon at the end of the game, and you'll eventually run out of cards in deck otherwise.
Yep. Yeah,
that's always
drawing the 2 cards. Yeah.
Yeah, that always feels like it's the balancing factor for Rangers, the fact that they don't have a weapon. So if you have the opportunity to, or if they can't like keep up like Azalea dominating cards enough, which at least so far it doesn't seem like she has too much trouble, then at least you can rely on them running out of ammo eventually.
Yeah, no. All right. So that's Long Draw Half Glove. Let's move on to Murky Water. This is the one that I said is insane.
Yeah, no, it's good that Riptide finally gets a no, I guess he already had an arrow specialization, but I'll let you read it off real quick.
Yeah, so this is another Riptide specialization, as if he hasn't had enough already. And it's called Murky Water. It's a 2-cost Ranger action arrow attack, blocks for 3, attacks for 6. Again, Riptide specialization says if this has an aim counter, it gets +1 and dominate, which I thought they were getting over. I guess we're not done with dominate quite yet. And then when this hits, you may banish face down 3 traps from your graveyard. If you do, choose one at random and put it into your hand. Quick note before you start in the discussion of this card, Ryan. The first effect, which is the +1 and dominate, is the only thing that cares about an aim counter. The second effect does not care about an aim counter. So as long as this hits, you'll get to recycle at least one of your traps, as long as you have 3.
Yep. No, this card is insane. And to get to your comment real quick, as if he doesn't have enough specializations. Technically, if you counted each one of the individual traps as a set of 3 specializations, he has the same amount that Azalea does at this point. Because she's got Red in the Ledger, Jury and Executioner, and what's that other one? Knock the Death Whistle.
I forgot Judge, Jury, and Executioner was a specialization, to be honest. Yeah.
Literally has her face on it. And then they both have their silly...
sometimes, though. Like, they don't always make that a specialization. Like...
No, I know. But, and then they both have their... yeah, she is on the Seek and Destroy card, but... no, they also have their quivers, if you want to count those too. But I think that was specifically just for the draft formats or sealed formats.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Azalea's quiver is actually really good for her, but...
Yeah, it is actually, because it combos well with her ability and lets her still use Death Dealer and get aim counters. So, yeah, hers is pretty insane, actually.
Yeah, for her specifically. So, I mean, the biggest thing is like, yeah, we lost Dromai. This is a popper, is where I'm getting at, but we still have Prism, and I know 6 isn't the best popper against Prism because they're running 9 Triumph. But it's still a popper, right? When they send whatever they send that's not Triumph, you're going to be popping those Heralds with 1 card. So pretty efficient block there. Giving +1 and dominate, you can load up, this costs 2. So, I mean, that's not super overcosted. You play a lot of yellows in the Ranger decks already. And so I think this card's really great. And I think you're going to be all loaded up with a bunch of, I mean, put it this way: if you pitch a blue, and this is already in your arsenal, you just flip it over with Barbed Castaway, give it an aim counter, and then play, however many you can play 2 to 3 buffs on top of it. So now it's a like 13 to 16 dominate card with a full grip, with probably a bunch of lace effects, blood rots, and all the kinds of shenanigans. So yeah, I think this card is actually like really good for Riptide. I think Riptide's already like sneaky good already. I think he is not really well represented in the meta. I think a part of that is because of aesthetics. I know there's some people who really like it, like Ryan, but a lot of people.
He's my surrogate water brute. So
yeah, exactly. A lot of people really like do vibe with this kind of like dark and kind of ergot level, kind of aesthetic.
Bro, look at him in murky waters. He's just vibing. He's sliming and vibing.
There's that meme.
He's got the Nickelodeon slime moisturizer
in my lane.
Vibing. Thriving.
Yeah, I don't think there's much else to say about murky water. It's a really good
I
card.
do have a few things.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's definitely a good card. I will say that that there is it plays a fine line for like you were saying, you're kind of surprised it has dominates because it kind of seemed like with the last sets with Guardians in it, but only ever having overpower, it seemed like LSS was trying to move away from dominates in too many cases. But when you think about what he has to do to even get the dominate part, he has to play the Barbed Castaway or the whatever the Dynasty Bow was. Which one was that one called again?
Longbow or whatever. The
Longbow.
No, it's
No, it's Longbow.
Yeah, but it's something Longbow.
Yeah, something Longbow. But he has to play one of those aim counter ones instead of either Dreadbore or Death Dealer, so he can't combo the Dominate into one of the more, you could say, utility powered bows. He has to specifically use the one that just gives aim counters. And I've kind of said this before, the current arrows that we have, besides maybe Barbed Undertow, there aren't too many good aim counter options. Barbed Undertow and then the buff Deadeye are kind of like the only like consistently justifiable aim counter arrows. And even then, it's like it's never worth playing those over having a Death Dealer or Dreadbore to get over defense reactions or draw that extra card for turn for your combos. So the fact that they put dominates behind the aim counter, I think, is fair. Plus the fact that it doesn't have like an on-hit effect that debilitates your opponent, but may give you a strong trap back, is a pretty fair trade-off for giving Riptide a dominate card to like close out games late game.
Do you think there's a world where you start playing point to tip?
No, that's like too inconsistent. I know what you're talking about, but I don't think so. I think that's a little too much to ask for when you play this card to have both of those cards specifically in your hand. And then it's like, you're doing dominate, but it's just damage at that point. You'd want to have it with, like you said, one of the lace cards or seek and destroy, so that it actually has a bit more payoff for guaranteeing the hit.
I don't know. I think I typed an aim counter into February, and there's actually quite a bit of cards that care about aim counters now. And I don't know.
They do.
Maybe there is a world where you just play red point to tips alongside an aim counter generating bow. So either Barbed Castaway or Sandscour Great Bow.
Yeah, no, and I think there's a lot of aim counter cards right now. Just like I said, none of them that I feel like push them past the value you get from Death Dealer and Dreadbore. Is what
I'm still actually
most Riptides are on right now, at least.
Wait, they're on Sandscour. Oh, Dreadbore and Sandscour? Yeah, I mean,
Dreadbore and Death Dealer is what they're on.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know. I really liked the idea of point to tip if you start playing more of like a Murkmire Grapnel and infecting shot and drill shot and melting point, which is an arrow itself, but could matter. And Deadeye. I don't know. Immobilizing shot, barbed undertow. These are all insane cards actually that if they have aim counters. and I could just
they definitely against certain matchups. Those cards are insanely like worth the value you get from them. Like immobilizing shot shuts down Ninja for a turn, or it can shut down mech. Ones that use a big chain attack actions, or maybe it shuts down. No, I guess. I have something else to say about Rune Blades and their absence as of late, but they don't really chain too many non-attacks these days. But yeah, in certain matchups, there are situations where these cards with aim counters have their niche. But for the most part, like I said, I think players, at least from the lists I've seen that have been winning Road to Nats with Riptides, Road to Nats or ProQuests like this past weekend have all had the Dreadboard Death Dealer combo and are just kind of banking off of the zero card buffs into either one cost or mostly zero cost arrows to go ahead and just keep going and going with Go Again with things like Bolt and Shots and the Falcon's Edge or whatever that arrow is called.
Yeah.
Do you remember which?
Yeah, it's called Falcon Wing.
Falcon Wing. Okay, that makes way
I think that card's really good, and it gets +1 if it has a name counter. So I'm just saying, I don't know.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the the idea of using aim counters or the barbed castaway, especially with like the fletches. I've been testing that lately to see if I can use the fletch and red tails or blue tails to try and punch through some damage where they could fatigue me otherwise. But again, like I said, at least from what the results have shown with other Riptide players, the other two bows just usually trump the idea of using the aim counters.
Yeah, I just think at worst, point the tips a +3 for 0, which is already like what your other cards are doing.
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know. Could be a free aim counter. It might line up and you suddenly have, an infecting shot for 6, which is really good, or a drill shot for 4 with piercing, which also could really matter.
I know, piercing is really fun on drill shot, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Especially when you line it up with another buff, but yeah.
Because if when you're hitting those breakpoints like 7 with the point the tip, 7 with piercing means they got to block that extra 1 with another card if they don't want the minus counter.
Yeah, or just turning on Deadeye. So for a blue, you could, if this card is face up in your arsenal, the Murky Water, you could play, or what is it called? Point the tip, give it +3, then play Deadeye pitching a blue, and then play Murky Water. Seems pretty insane.
No, I agree. That would require 4 resources though, because if the Murky Water is not already face up in your arsenal at the start of turn, you'd have to load it or flip it over to get it face up.
Yeah, we can flip it over. We're gonna use the headpiece. We're gonna use Skullbone Cross Wrap.
Oh, you're right. That fixes that.
All right, I think we talked about Murky Water enough. I think it's an interesting card. I think it's really strong. And even if you don't plan to dominate and give it +1 with aim counters, I think just having the on-hit effect. Something else, one last thing to remember. People were talking about recycling all 3 legendary traps. You can pick all 3 legendary traps and you'll guarantee 1. But the other 2 cards that don't get picked stay face down forever. So
yeah, they stay banished. LSS is doing a really good job of making sure they don't recycle defense reactions, which is something they've never done before. Like the only one who's been able to recycle a defense reaction technically has been Prism.
Yeah.
If she had a yellow card to put back on top that was a defense reaction, like that's all you got.
You could technically, if they like Command and Conquer your Soul Shield, you could put that.
Or that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just usually expect Soul Shield to go in your soul. So,
but yeah, no, conquer it, Ryan.
All right, I assume you still have cards in hand to defend with.
No, I'm Prism. Half my cards don't block.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh god. All right.
But that would be so. LSS is again just to finish this point, doing a good job of making sure that reactions and instants stay banished for a majority of the time, only coming back like. A, for Riptide, it's random which one you'll even get back. And then B, it's like, it's only going to happen at most like maybe 3 times a game if you have enough defense reactions down there. So, yeah, no, strong card. I'm excited to play around with it.
Let's move on to the metagame and ProQuest week 2. You're playing ProQuest this coming week, right, Ryan? You're going to play the one I'm judging at, playing at the Collective down here in Florida.
Yep, I am probably at most only going to 2 this season just because of the timing and everything. But the Haven and Collective should give me enough opportunity to try and irk out a win. See how far we can get.
I think the biggest reason too is there's 2 big reasons for me that I'm not really traveling. I'll be flat out honest. I love LSS. I love a lot of what they do. The pricing this year for ProQuest is weak. It is real weak. Outside of the gold foil.
Yeah,
that's what happens when you put Marvel heroes in the set, though. You can't really give them gold foils. This kind of feels bad. So, yeah. So yeah, it's weak, and I have 0 plans to go to Amsterdam. Is where we're going for Pro Tour this year. I just can't. I can't swing it. It's too much money. So.
Yeah, realistically, that's the biggest thing keeping me out. If I do happen to win one, maybe I'll see what how I could irk a trip out. But
yeah,
let's see if I win one first.
It's just not happening. It's just not happening.
Yeah.
I want to get your opinion. So this is our first week without Dromai. True full week, no Dromai. And I think the metagame's kind of proven it, because we're going to see some surprises on this list of what I'm about to tell you. So ProQuest Season 2, just starting at the top. The first one's no surprise. 15 wins, KO, armed and dangerous. Don't think we got to talk about that. Super solid deck, super consistent. Typically 54 attacks for 6 or more power, especially after his hero ability.
Yeah.
Really good deck. Lots of just strong, solid cards there. The next one, not so much of a surprise either. We've been talking about Ranger a lot. Azalea, Ace in the Hole. It is funny to me that, we went from Azalea having this cult following and never getting Living Legends points. And there was a old meme with Outcast Haven where they were like, the first person to get Azalea Living Legends points gets like this huge prize thing. They were like, oh my God, you did it. And then Outsiders happened, and suddenly that wasn't so surprising anymore. And that wasn't.
And then you remember those meme cards too, where it's like when you play Azalea's hero ability, when you sit down at the table, sign the match slip, and give your opponent the win.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was pre-Outsiders. Amazing.
That was very pre-Outsiders. She was hurting at that time, especially I think it was because Prism existed, and Prism just Prism back in the day was very bad.
Even then, I don't want to harp on it too much, but even back then, your good matchup was supposed to be like Ninja, and you still kind of folded to that deck too. You just didn't have enough disruption. You had Red in the Ledger, and that's about it. And what was Hamstring Shot, which is a Frostbite essentially, and it's just not enough to really cripple.
They'll shake it off with a single blue on a Kadachi, or just go straight into the Surging Strike. Yeah,
exactly. All right, so that's those are the first 2. Next one, it's when we're starting to get a little spicy. Prism, Awakener of Soul. So I know Ranger is your bread and butter, Ryan, especially Riptide. I know you really do not like to see Illusionist, and so you might be a little biased when I say this. You may not agree, but I do think it's kind of surprising. I think the hero is very strong and does to a lot of people very unfair things. But I think the deck struggles into Brute. I really do. And to see KO as number 1 and to see Prism as number 3, that's just really surprising to me. And against Victor, it's actually no easy task either, as long as the Victor is competent. So yeah, and Victor's right below her at Victor is tied with Prism at 13. So I think Azalea is a good matchup for you as Prism. I think KO and Victor are very tough. Victor is definitely, I'd rather sit across from a Victor than a KO. But really, I don't know. How do you feel about Prism being as high as she is? Going from not so many wins last week, I think, to 3rd on the list.
I don't think it's surprising. I think she's a strong hero she's one of those heroes that really rewards mastery and time of play, obviously, because she's a illusionist always ends up being far more technical than most other heroes in the game. I guess you could say besides wizard. Wizard's its own monster at this point, but the the one thing I would consider when you're kind of like considering or with how surprised you are considering how many KOs have won is that you've always got local metas for each of these events. You could just say that maybe there was a lot less KO, or maybe KO met its counter matchups and didn't even make it to the top cut where the prisms were. So there's a lot of things. I would say in terms of her hero, she's a very strong hero with very strong or very polarizing matchups. So it's not surprising to see that she would. Yeah.
Polarizing.
It's not surprising even in a KO meta that she could like see her way rising to the top, because I feel like part of the reason why Brute has such an advantage is with the scab skins, and even then the scab skins are kind of like a chance for how they give you the advantage. You could say that when you roll, there's still more often or not a chance that they'll get the extra action points, but
I mean, it is
they've got the other,
more likely to, but
they've still got the other half where either they get no action points or the 2 rolls where it just back 1. Yeah.
Yeah, on average, it's like what 1.5 action points. So like typically it's good for them to roll.
Of course.
And even if they miss, typically Prism can't punish the miss too hard in specifically KO. So specifically because they still pop your heralds and stuff, and it's really just hard to get a critical mass of angels up as they're punching you. so I don't know. I take a lot of what you said to heart, but it is surprising a little bit to me to see Prism, I think, as high as she is. Honestly, I would expect her to be in like the 5 to 10 wins range, kind of in that middle of the pack. But she's up there.
I will say the part that's surprising is that there are that many people who are playing Prism consistently enough. Because again, she's one of those heroes where it really does show a certain level of mastery or skill when you play her in order to play her well enough to win these events, in my opinion.
And just locally, we don't have that many.
Yeah, you don't. She's not one of the heroes where you just kind of pick up, you get the basic mechanics of the game, and you can just win events with her.
She has like 8,000 play lines every turn, and especially whenever Halo's online, you have infinite plays available to you. So,
yeah. But knowing how to optimize those against your current situation is not something that's just like read out to you based on like anything other than experience. Like
it's not KO, and I just mostly drop my hand and throw 12 to 15 damage at you every turn. So,
or Kasai, where you're blocking with your entire hand until you have a better hand.
Kasai is the next hero, by the way, at 11 wins. We didn't really talk about Victor too much. We got to talk about him a little bit because Jamie's our homie. So yeah, Victor. I mean, I think Heavy Hitters is the math set. It is mid-rangey as hell. Even Victor, if you play, I really don't think he plays a very good like Bravo stall game. I think Victor really needs to be more aggressive, and he's able to do so because he has like Test of Strength, which makes a gold, which makes you draw cards. So you got the block 4 and draw a card, but then you have to have cards that let you use that card, right? You can't just be playing D-Reacts or a lot of D-Reacts or anything like that, because then the drawn card does like nothing there.
No, he's not in it for the long game necessarily. Now, I mean, he still has better block. Like as a Guardian, he just by default has good consistent block values throughout his deck.
Yep.
But I will say he's definitely not built for that kind. In fact, that's what those tests of strength and like trounce, like being able to draw a card after defending, is his way of being able to keep up the aggro.
100%.
So definitely kind of like a aggro value Guardian, if that makes sense.
I kind of miss the days of I don't know why something you said reminded me. I just miss the days of Guardian trying to set up a turn and then playing their big attack. I just want that back. I don't know. They have so many cool like setup cards, and they just don't see play as much because they're slow. And I get it.
They're slow, inconsistent, or just not worth taking the turn off versus just like swing hammer.
Yeah, it's a shame they didn't
just
give a
keep
lot
up
of them
damage.
again.
Yeah, but I mean, I see why they didn't give a lot of them go again. There's a lot of strong ones out there.
Oh yeah,
that have very, very, very what's it called, debilitating effects if they go into the next turn with it.
Yeah, especially with.
But yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of the two, I rate Bravo is the better Guardian. He has the better specializations and the better hero ability, in my opinion. But I think
I big disagree there, honestly.
I think Victor is seeing more play just because he's more fun. His theming is more fun. His
I don't disagree with that he's more fun. I don't disagree with that. I hard disagree that Bravo is the better Guardian. Biggest reason, again, Bravo is so easy to like play against because he does play like that slower, like just one big attack typically, and he can play Rouse the Ancient. He can play all the same go again cards that Victor can play, but I think he just can't do it as well because he doesn't have the draw card effect. Like, so even if you play, like you just can't clap back as hard as Victor can. And it's just so easy to get around Dominate these days if you're ready for it. And Bravo makes sure you're pretty much ready for it. I don't know. I think Bravo is fine, but you can see maybe not fine. I mean, he is in the other heroes category when way down below Arachne. There's a chance Arachne has 2 wins and Bravo has 1. They kind of don't tell you how this is shaken up, but
I still disagree just because like I said, I rate Bravo's specializations as being far more powerful than Victor's.
Oh, in a vacuum, sure. In a vacuum, but I'm looking at the whole package. The whole package, I think Victor. I'd rather sit across from a Bravo than a Victor any day at this point. Truly. I'm not scared to sit across from a Bravo in any deck that I play. I don't know. I just don't care. Like, I just think it's fine. I don't know.
No, I mean,
I'd give it to you. Crippling Crush is a hell of a card, and Dominate as a button on your hero ability, pretty good. I don't know. It just doesn't hit me as like Test of Strength, block 4, which is above rate, draw a card. Now it's almost like I didn't spend a card to block 4, and then hit them with the Rouse the Ancients into like, I don't know, something. Command and Conquer even. Like, I don't know.
I was going to say the only reason why, and I know you don't dominate every attack with Bravo, but you don't always hit the even get the or win the clashes when you do them on Victor. So you would have to consider that you're not winning every clash or even getting that value every time you clash in the game. So
it depends on the deck you're playing for sure. I know when I'm playing my Kasai deck, they win everything. There is one time, I revealed Command and Conquer against Alex's Victor on a trounce, and I was like, let's go. And then I lost the second clash. So I mean, I wanted to win a trounce as Kasai. I thought that'd be so funny if like I just revealed like Nourishing Emptiness to another non-attack card, but we didn't do that. So
no, you almost got there. At least you stopped the trounce effect.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, I'm getting trounced. This is happening.
I was going to say, just for as warriors to warriors go, in my upcoming Olympia deck, because I'm theory crafting some Olympia. I plan on putting some more of the Wage Gold and Wage Vigors in there in 7, so I have some chance to win clashes against Victor if I go up against him in the future.
What about Runner? Put that in your Olympia deck. Just make some agility tokens. Lead with some agility over there.
See, the reason why I'm trying not to is because I'm trying to do a Decimator Axe build, and the fact that you have to pitch, the fact that you have to pitch 3 for that heavy thing means you're probably not using a lot of resources for go again attacks instead of just like one big attack when you can. So
I will say
we'll see.
Every time Olympia gets brought up, give me the Draw Swords fucking sword from Draw Swords.
Oh yeah,
that has Olympia
big agree.
In art and in this quote. It's like live and die by the sword or something. And I just give me that sword. It looks so badass. I just want it so bad.
There's still hope. We got more. We certainly got more space for what is it called?
We just don't have a cool two-handed sword. We have Dawnblade, which I do like, but it's very specific to Dorinthia. I know it's not a specialization or anything, but it works with their hero ability.
It's essentially a specialization. It's essentially
a cool two-handed sword. We have Talishar. Neat. Breaking.
The best one. We can replace it now.
Okay. That's enough on Victor. Kasai, there's not much to say about Kasai. We talked about math. That's all.
You've been playing her lately. I think you have some opinions on the deck.
Oh, I'm bored as hell. And we have a funny enough, we have a local player who's just getting into the game. He was building Dromai. Dromai obviously LL'd, so she's gone. And his next deck that he wanted to try, I was like, hey man, I'm building Kasai. He's like, I want to try it. I want to see if I like this deck. And so I built the Matt Dilks list, the one that won the calling attached to the Battleworn. And it's a very good list, super tight. Really do like it. Easy to pilot. Really easy to pilot. You block a lot.
I like how much you emphasize the easy to pilot. Yeah.
Well, I don't mean it's easy to pilot as in it's like brain dead. I mean like
no.
It's definitely a good
I get what you're saying.
It's definitely a good deck that if you were going to a calling, I don't think you'll get a whole lot of mental fatigue playing it, even though your games will go long. You just don't have to think a whole lot too much like about what your opponent's doing to kind of like know like what the trap blocks are. But I mean, really just don't get married to any card. Be prepared to block with cards that are online and you'll probably be fine. That said,
it's very straightforward, very
I think the deck is also a newbie trap because I was explaining this. So a lot of times when I'm playing Kasai, there's a hand that I have that looks nuts for a warrior hand. It's like a blue, a red Blade Runner, and like a Blade Flurry and some other card, another pump or something. And yeah, I will be like, I need to play this hand. This hand is insane. And then my opponent does something that is like very detrimental or will skyrocket or like be exponential in damage if I don't block, right?
Yeah, skyrocket their momentum basically in the game.
And so I think a lot of new players will look at that hand and just no matter what happens, eat the damage coming their way. And it's almost always incorrect to do that in Kasai. You're not that deck. And now if this is to kill them, maybe. There's situations. Like most of the time, even with the nuts hand offensively, you're like, well, these all block 3/2, so I'm gonna do that. So and with my boots, my Valiant Dynamo, I'll just keep the go again card in the blue, I'll block with the other two cards, it's fine. So
yeah.
It sucks. Every time I block with Blade Flurry, I die a little. I
pay $25 for this card just to throw it away.
You might as well just say block at the bottom most of the time. It doesn't even like do anything.
Oh my gosh. It's you know what's funny is that it's such a good card, but it's just so simply just 4 damage. It's just 4 damage. That's it.
It's a reaction. Well, it's 4 damage split, which it is different. It is.
It is. And... But I'm just saying, when you think about it, it's like technically, Scar for Scar does just
on the same rate. Well, a little less because Scar blocked for 2, but. But anyway, the biggest reason to play Blade Flurry is a free +2, and it creates a gold on hit. It might as well say create a golden hit because that's the number one time I hold a Blade Flurry to take. Like if I take any damage holding a Blade Flurry, it's because I'm preparing to activate Kasai against a Guardian or something, and I need to try to push over to try to make that gold. But
yeah, your win condition with Kasai and against certain matchups is going to be the Cell Swords. So having as much gold as possible would be nice.
It's my favorite card, actually. It's what keeps me as much as bored as I am playing Kasai. Every time I raise an army,
it's pretty fun to get the homies out.
Every time
it's pretty funny to get the homies out.
Every time I raise an army, like the happy chemicals just go off in my brain. I'm just like I'm having so much fun again.
Dope. It reminds you of Dromai. You just miss playing Dromai that much.
I mean, yeah, she's from the same place, right? Same like Korean area and sand and stuff. And
You're just getting them with a bunch of dudes.
The dudes and just swinging for 3 go again, 3 go, and they don't have phantasm. This is great.
Actually, probably the biggest upside compared to Dromai.
So yeah, moving on.
But I do like the.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I do like the way that they're balancing minions going forward. Like, I love the idea of minions as a concept for certain characters, but they can't always be free to attack with go again. So making you pay 1 at least.
I really like Raise an Army in terms of balance. I really do. I think it's the way they should do minions. It's kind of like an ultimate. Like,
it's an ultimate. It feels like an ultimate.
I've said this much that like I compare. A lot of people compare Flesh and Blood to a fighting game. I compare it to 1 versus 1 League of Legends. Like, in terms of like the way I think of like the heroes and their abilities and stuff, I think the commons and rares are Q, W, and E's, and then the majestics are like their R's, right? Their ultimates, and even more so when it's a specialization. I really that's like how my mind is geared, and like I could totally see them building a hero like that. And like that's how the hero works, is that their ultimate is like you make a bunch of minions and attack with them because they like follow her around or whatever. So tangent aside, that's how I think.
No, I think it was a good point. And I that's probably one of the cool things about the game in general, is that it feels so much different than the other card games that we play.
Yeah.
It gives you that in the moment, or kind of like in the moment, like you're in a battle kind of feeling. I like it a lot more than typical minion summoning in other games.
Oh yeah, I really like my League of Legends. And that's what keeps me interested, because I every time a hero comes out, I like have the Riot League of Legends like hero spotlight narrator in my head. All right, with with Dorinthia's Q, you're going to like give it +3 and go again on hit, and then on W it's like, and her passive, her sword can swing a second time. Like, I don't know, just very, I don't know. I compare it a lot to League of Legends in my head as far as hero design goes. Obviously not the way the game plays, because that makes no sense really, but here
I get what you're saying. Yeah, it definitely feels it feels like you can get a lot more into the hero you pick than just the minions or like deck you choose in other games.
Absolutely. All right, so we're gonna move on from Kasai. This is a long time. Rhinar, Reckless Rampage, 8 wins. I don't really know what to say. Probably preying on the blocky decks like Kasai and Victor.
And a few others that are
Prism,
on the list.
Prism. And Dorinthia.
I was going to say, and a couple others on the list, like, Dorinthia, but also like, what's it called? There's some Riptides that got some wins, and then there's also Tekla Vossens that got some wins. So we'll get to.
You spoiled my surprise. That was the big one. He got 5 wins.
That's so wild.
He went from 0 Living Legends points to 5 wins in a week. That's really good. 15 points out of 1,000. You're doing it.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, what do you think changed besides Dromai going away, or was that enough for him to have some wiggle room?
I truly think that was enough. And the best decks in the format are, so remove Prism, because I think that's still a bad matchup for him. And listen to this list. I'm just gonna go down the list before you get to it. We're gonna skip Prism for the sake of my argument. I'm gonna go down the list of the top heroes in the game until we get to an auto loss besides Prism, which I don't even think is an auto loss, but it's not great. So KO, Azalea, Victor, Kasai, Rhinar, and then finally Kano, which isn't the most popular deck everywhere. Kano is as close to a 100 to 0 auto loss for Tekla Vossen as like any matchup I've ever seen. It like is unwinnable. Like, truly, I don't think it's winnable in any.
I mean, if you don't have the Arcane Barrier even sided in, even if you put an Arcane Barrier, so you're basically deciding, am I going to have Arcane Barrier and nerf myself, or am I going to not have Arcane Barrier and hope that I could somehow pull off a kill before he kills me?
No, it's never going to happen. It's just never going to happen. So, but the point I'm trying to make is, so let's say your top 8 doesn't have a Kano in it, and it has like 2 KOs, 2 Azalea, 2 Victor, and a Kasai.
Yeah.
The Kasai might be a little rough, but really these decks, you super prey on them. It's a blocky deck, has lots of armor. I played against it last night as Kasai. It came down to the wire. Had to raise an army. He probably popped the legendary too fast, like the Necropotent, which allowed me to like kind of live through it.
I was gonna say he the health difference when I first came over to see your match was like crazy high, but then eventually you just wore him down, and yeah, it was toast.
He just did it too early. Honestly,
he did. He's had so much defense left in his deck that he had just so much gunky hands that he just couldn't keep up pressure at all.
Well, and 3 intellect is a real penalty, right? After you do it, like, so the first time you do it, you go to 5 intellect. We just totally skipped like every hero. We're just going to talk about Tekla Boston because he's interesting. Maybe we'll rapid fire after Kano. I hate Kano. That's my rapid fire for Kano.
Don't worry. I think most people who don't play Kano are in the same boat. I like how interesting he is as a hero, but I think he's so polarizing in like this game right now.
We will get back.
But we'll get to him in a second.
We'll get back to Kano. Tekla Boston though, I think honestly, out of the top 6, 7 decks, you are doing just fine. You are doing just fine. If you're competent, you're patient, and you have to play quick. You have to play quick because your games are going to go long. It's a lot like Oldhim. I don't believe he's a true fatigue deck. I don't even think those really exist in Flesh and Blood. But you are running them out of the threats in their deck. You're not running them out of deck typically. You're running them out of threats, out of like the red cards, the good cards, to where they get to these like really just not good, shitty blues. And they're sending like wet noodles at you, and you're like, I'm Necropotent. Like, here's 9, go again. Like, so. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to swing with my hero too, and it's 6 and discard a card. So again, any resources you had, they're gone too. So
yeah.
I think he's actually really good into anything that's purely. I think he is the best deck to play against the fair Flesh and Blood decks.
Yeah.
I think he's fair to them.
Yeah, because unless you're Rhinar, you don't really have a way to slap out all those cards he's going to defend with. And even if he's started setting up some equipment, then
you can't intimidate the equipment once it's on him. So
nope.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it doesn't. Thankfully, the equipment still says equipment, so it doesn't stop barraging beatdown from getting its bonus effects and such. But yeah, it's still a pain in the ass to get over that extra health.
Basically, right? That's their funny.
LSS has got the design space down, dude.
Oh yeah, and if I don't know if overpower keeps happening, then he gets rougher too to play because all of his equipment is still in action. So
I was gonna say he's the one hero kind of likes dominate over overpower.
All right, let's talk about Kano. All right, I was a little harsh on Kano. I'm gonna say my thing, and then you can say whatever. I gotta stand on a soapbox for a minute. I think Kano is one of the coolest, most interesting hero designs prior to Aether Wildfire. I think Aether Wildfire has made that deck a one-trick pony, and it is so not a good play experience for, I think, anyone, but I guess Kano's like it. Or maybe they just know they can win against all these decks that can't block AB or Arcane very well. I don't. How can I say this? I lose a lot in Flesh and Blood. I'll just say it. I'm like a better than average player, I think, but not much better. Been playing for a long time. I think Kano is just such a horribly not fun experience right now to play against. And it could just be the caliber of Kano that we have locally. And I'm really not trying to like poo-poo on anyone. I don't do that. I'm just saying, like, every game of Kano I've ever played against, it's like I have no true agency of what's happening. And a lot of it is me staring at them, just like waiting for them to do something while they like math out 1,000 equations in their head. And it's just so not fun to play against. And
it's not.
I just gotta finish. Like, so again, I don't want Kano to go away. I want Aether Wildfire to go away. That could kill Kano. I recognize that in today's day and age, he's still, I'm not even saying he's unbalanced. I'm not even saying it's like unwinnable for so many decks and he's untechable and you can't beat it. I'm not saying that at all, actually. What I'm saying is it's horribly unfun to play against. I just do not like it. Does that mean it should go away? No. I just think, I hope when they make a wizard in the future, he doesn't have the same play patterns that Kano has, or it's different in some way. I loved the design of Icelander. I think even when she went to Bullander, still super interesting deck, play it different ways. You knew that if you dropped below a certain life deficit, like below 10 or so, you were going to get Emeritus for whatever and probably die. But there was like build up to that. I don't know. I hate the Hail Mary off the top too, and they just like find it. It just feels bad. But that's my piece.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
I'll be more positive the rest of the podcast.
No, I think it's a fair criticism to make. They had to ban it in Blitz because it was so polarizing and such a even lower health format. But the way it's designed, or the way it like snowballs, like there's no reason to believe that having 40 health suddenly makes it a fairer card.
You mean 30?
No. 40 for the other heroes.
Okay, yeah.
Like somehow makes it a fairer card.
The 10 health deficit doesn't like make up for it.
No. What I'm saying is compared to Blitz, like whether you're at 20 health as the opponent or 40 health as the opponent against Blazing or Aether Wildfire, that's not a lot of difference when it comes to how bad that card snowballs. Especially when you can play Blazing Aether as a double combo for free once you get that off the top. Like, it's insane. I think Kanos would be better off, or even be happier with more design space to try and master if they didn't have Aether Wildfires like a crutch. They already had a card that boosted based on the amount of damage it did, but it only did it for the next attack.
One. So yeah.
Yeah, but like that, when you consider how Blazing Aether works, that kind of boosted that attack as well. It's like they already had so much, but Aether Wildfires, I think, just a step too far.
Yeah.
And the problem that with Kano is that he doesn't win enough events on his own because he's still kind of like
for a long time.
He is, but that doesn't mean that LSS won't see the merit in banning Aether Wildfire if they find that it's in a kind of like how they banned Berserk, like they find that it's future proofing or future design space is too toxic to work with.
Yeah,
so
and
I agree.
We both said our piece on it. I don't want to be super negative on Kano. I mean, again, I just wish, I don't mind being fully arcane based as an axis of how you want to play the game, like gets past armor, like true armor. And so
yeah,
I don't know, I think that's pretty cool, but like at the same time, I just wish in some way it I don't know, the like full on combo that they have to figure it out and they set up a bunch of potions. Watching someone do it, and if they do it in like a reasonable pace, fine. They set it up, that's awesome. I think just watching like somebody just sit there for like 7 minutes taking game actions while I just see if they have it or not is just so mind-numbingly not fun. So
yeah. Granted, even if they ban Aether Wildfire, it's not going to entirely stop that, but at least banning Aether Wildfire will feel like you have a chance even if you don't have like an Oasis arsenal or something.
Yeah.
That's like the only counter to Kano right now is having enough Arcane Barrier and Oasis at the right time. That's it.
All right. So I'm going to kind of rush down the next couple because I don't have a lot to say. If you have something you want to say about the next three, let me know. So it's Dorinthia, Katsuya, and Bolton. I don't think there's anything super interesting. Dorinthia is probably on Axis because it's from the Pro Tour, but
yeah. I was going to say, I think they're strong heroes. They have their arguments for them. I think that just compared to KO's aggro decks, they have a little bit more holding them back or a little bit stopping them from getting as up there as he is. But no, I think they're strong heroes in their own right. Dude, going up against Katsu last night with Riptide, you think you have the advantage because all your traps trigger. It's like, nah, that doesn't stop them from going off on like 10 more attacks than you can block. Ancestral Empowerment is stupid. I
so
fucking
good.
hate that card. I hate that card becomes free. I wish it was just a 1 energy cost discount, because then they couldn't combo like Descendants into Ancestral, Descendants into Ancestral, and it's like, what am I going up against?
Wait, what are we talking about? Ancestral Empowerment is the reaction.
I'm sorry, Ancestral, whatever the one in the new Gust Bonds of Ancestry, yes. Oh my god. No, Bonds of Ancestry is the wild one, because that's like, oh, all you had to do is have the card ahead of you be either Whelming or Descendants, and then it searches out an extra card to hit with, and you could find another Bonds of Ancestry, or no, I don't think you can find Bonds of Ancestry, but you can find another Descendants, which has Go Again, and then go into another Bonds. And that's it's like, weird. You can chain such a long combo off that alone.
Do you know what's funny? I think that's all absolutely fine. I don't know how to explain it. I think it's like that.
Well, they do have to have the cards in the
and like
they can't just go off turn 0 with it. You're right. They need cards in the discard to banish.
And you typically have to let something hit like that was probably blockable at some point, maybe. And it's just usually like, I don't know. I think that's more back and forth than like, say Kano or something.
I was gonna say it's definitely not. No, it's definitely not to that level. But I'm just saying it's wild that they can do that, and all it takes, like, maybe they hit once to do the Katsu search, but then it's like, oh my god, it's so punishing for you.
I do think heroes should be able to do powerful things. So
yes, I agree. I like the idea of heroes having power, and it's not like it's like you said, it takes a little bit of setup. They can't just go straight into it. And I like heroes having that ability to, like, be like, oh, I set this up, or oh, I figured out this kind of like line I can do on this turn, and now I can close out the game because I did the thing. Yeah.
So
I agree with that.
Yeah. So I mean, I think if every deck is just,
I just think it's wild.
Boring. Yeah, it is. When they do it, it feels unfair. But I actually usually am like, sick turn, dude. That was awesome. I probably should have blocked that blue Rising Neath. Oh, they don't play that anymore.
They don't play that anymore.
Like a blue Whelming Gust Wave. I probably should have blocked that, and then I let it hit, and then he cracks Breeze Rider boots, and then I died.
Breeze Riders is so strong. I didn't realize it would be that strong just for that combo alone. But
so many times I've let or I've been playing Katsu, and they let like the dumbest attack hit, So the reason I said Blue Rising Neathrost is because that's the one that I used to play when I played Katsu, and Bonds didn't exist yet. And I once sent a Blue Rising Neathrost at someone, and that led to me playing the entire leg and Surging Strike line in the same turn.
I remember that story. I didn't get to see it personally, but it was pretty amazing to hear about afterwards. Bro, the fact that they don't play the leg tap Rising Knee, that used to be just like a bread and butter, like quick damage combo for them. Not even like a full combo to like do crazy damage, but just like a bread and butter kind of like 9 damage.
Really good. Leg tap was really good.
They've replaced it with that. They've replaced it with like that hurricane kick thing,
which is also really good. You can sometimes spin the boots off the table from Kasai, so things like that.
No, not that one. Just the 1-for-4 with Go Again, and if you played the same card beforehand, it gets +1.
Something wins. 100 wins.
No, 100 wins is the No, 100 wins isn't 100 wins the one that gets plus. No, that's the free one. It looks like a kick card. It came from Outsiders. Hang on, I'm gonna find it now. I don't want to forget it.
No.
But while I'm finding that, but yeah, for Bolton and Dory, if you're ready to jump back to the meta for the weekend, or if you have more to say about Katsu, we can still stay on that.
No, I mean, I'm not going to say anything about Bolton or Dory either. I mean, I think they're fine. Bolton's bad. Play combo, he's fine, I guess.
Yeah.
He does prey on Prism. There's that. So then just going down the list, we have Dash, Levia, Riptide. Other heroes is Max the Hype Nitro.
Spinning Wheel Kick. That's what it's called.
Okay. Max the Hype Nitro and other heroes, Azuri, Switchblade, Arachne, Huntsman, Bravo, Showstopper, Dash IO, and Viscerai Runeblood. I will say, I heard either on like a podcast or something I think is funny. So Prism and Levia came out the same set. Prism LL'd. A year later, a year and a half later, they make a new Prism. And the new Prism has more Living Legends points now than Levia. So she's like lapped her.
Yeah.
I think that's funny.
I'm not surprised. The Levia is a powerhouse, and like you were saying, it's cool when heroes get to do like powerful things. She's the only hero still with like a heavy set drawback if she fails to do the thing.
I just don't know why you'd ever play her over Kano or KO. And like right now, I mean, she can do some nutty things. She can.
And she has access to carry. She has access to carry and husk too. So if you think your meta is going to be something that tries to drag out or try and disrupt you with certain things, then there's arguments for the armor alone doing things for you.
But that's it. I mean, let's drop down to other heroes real quick. I mean, we already talked about Riptide a lot because it's the freaking spoiler cards, but let's really quick. Let's look at like other heroes. So Max the Hype Nitro getting a win. I mean, we saw him kind of sneaking into some top 8s before, and I mean, it's probably just on construct plan, right? I mean, that's the best way to play it.
That's really the only thing he can. It's like compared to the other mechs. That's the special thing about him is that he can more consistently get out the mechnoids. So I would assume that's what he's on.
I think my biggest surprise in this other heroes list is the assassins both being down here, both for totally different reasons. So Arachne is just crazy in general. I don't think Arachne's very good, but maybe I'm wrong. And I mean,
he did get that new specialization. He does have that new
Tendencies is a fun card to play. I mean, I played it a little bit, but Azuri being down here is interesting for the opposite reason that I always thought Azuri was actually really well positioned, especially with Dromai gone. So,
you know what I think it is? Maybe it's because there's so many defensive decks like Kasai and Prism that do so many defensive things, or in Teklovasen, that it's like
doesn't isolate you with that. I don't know. I always thought it was fine. I don't know.
No, because then when you swap to the other card, then it doesn't have the dominate anymore. No, so I mean, you can defend whenever you swap it.
But it's hard to always have that. I don't know.
It's just a guess. But that's maybe my guess for why.
Or maybe I know it's like a really bad matchup in the Kano as well. So maybe there's some Kanos keeping her down.
Yeah, that would do it.
I don't really know how she does, and Kasai is also probably a really bad matchup. I had to think.
That's what I'm saying. The defensive matchups, yeah.
Well, specifically Kasai, I feel like Kasai just like take it on the chin, having your boots. So like these things that even if you do isolate, they don't like. It doesn't even have to be a D-react. She has like other things, right, that she can play from hand. So. So yeah, I guess that's what it is. So I think that wraps it up for this.
Yeah. I will say one last thing. It's surprising that there's only considering how prevalent Room Blades were at one point. It's kind of crazy to see that there's only one win for Viscerai this time around.
Yeah. No Vincent whatsoever. No cousin Vinny. So.
That doesn't surprise me, to be honest, but that's a whole other thing. I'm not going to go into that now.
Podcast on why Vincent is bad, or just not strong.
But
they need to give Vincent like a weapon, like a better weapon, like they did Prism.
I think
I'm actually.
I was going to say. I think the one that she has works with what she's trying to do, especially when it comes to like generating more effects from her attacks sometimes, but. In general, I think her hero ability where she pays 1 to play when she plays a shadow non-attack action is just better for hurting herself. But moving on to our involvement with ProQuest, who do you think? I know you're judging this weekend's event, but you are playing in at least one event at the Haven a couple weeks from now. Who do you think you're set on? Who do you think your hero to pick is to try and take home the win?
That's a great question, and I hate that you asked it. So no, I I've been playing, anyone who's in our locals, I've been playing exactly 2 decks, Prism and Kasai. They can't be farther apart from each other in terms of playstyle. Man, it's tough. Every time I want to play Kasai, I kind of want to go to bed instead. I just think that's a better use of my time. I really do. It's funny. I say that. Then I play Raisin Army. I'm like, we're having fun again.
I was to say, you just got to keep your eyes on the prize. Make the goal to make them raise the dudes.
Yeah. And then Prism, there's just matches where she just folds, and it's so frustrating. You can be on such a roll, and then I'll have a triple tome turn, and I get 1 aura, and I'm like, all right. So I'll play the 1 aura, send like 2 heralds, and like path. And it's like, so I like IP9'd myself or something, like just all these cards in my hand, and like, yeah, I can block or whatever, but that's probably on me. It's probably some skill issue in terms of like, maybe I shouldn't.
There's always RNG picking off the top,
Well, like I shouldn't, maybe I shouldn't have popped it there. Should have thinned my deck more, things like that. So, but yeah, I don't know. It's between those two. If I had to pick one today, if it was like tomorrow, I think I'll go Prism. I think I would go Prism. I think I was leaning Kasai for a long time, but I think I would just enjoy my life more if I played Prism.
And you still have a strong chance to win. I mean, if we're looking at the numbers from this past events, Prism has higher win rates, so you always got that going for you.
And I know you. I think spicy Riptide list.
No, that's no. It didn't feel like it worked well at all last night.
Oh no.
To be fair, I only played 2 rounds last night. I got 2 buys last night, which was fucking wild.
Yeah, we had people leaving stuff.
Yes, and then the matchups just made it so like, oh, you were doing the worst, I guess. So here's another buy.
Well, it's like it's either that or like we have to put you up against someone you've already played, like doing that.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I think every hero has their polarizing matchups. Like obviously Prism, like putting Kano aside for most heroes, like yeah, Prism folds to a few heroes. I mean, technically you could say she folds to Vincent, never being able to have a Angel or Aura up for more than a turn. But I don't think that alone is enough to say that is enough of an argument to not play hero unless that folding matchup is the meta necessarily. And I don't think you lose that entirely to KO.
Like a bad matchup standpoint. I was saying like your deck just doesn't work with you. Like it just like it's like, come on, this isn't helping.
Work with me.
Yeah, you have like 4 non-blocks, and that's the turn Katsu decides to murder you.
Oh yeah. That.
Yeah. So yeah. So I guess that's our week. That's what's coming up for us in Flesh and Blood, right? You're playing this.
Well, I was gonna say I want to talk about my pick for the ProQuest.
Lay it on me.
So you were about to say making a spicy Riptide deck, but right now I don't feel confident with Riptide. The problem is that I feel like I'm too trap focused with him, and it's because it's the flavor of his hero ability plus his legendaries. But I don't think the right path to play Riptide is necessarily you can never focus on actually, I guess based on what we talked about earlier, you can focus on a defensive strategy, but the traps themselves can't be the focus because they're not always going to trigger. Obviously, there's some matchups where they specifically won't trigger, but I don't think that this new card will suddenly fix him compared to what we have access to now. I think you can still win with him now, as shown by some of the win reports. I just don't like the way that current decks are building him to win, because it's basically just drop 0-cost cards and play aggro, which is, to me, not fun. I'd like to play Riptide in a mid-range thing, and I don't feel like I've confidently found that balance yet. So I was actually thinking about playing Viserai for the...
Bringing back the classic.
He was the one who did get me my Road to Nats win all those years ago, so it would make sense for me to bring him back. He's got a lot of fun
Road to Nats. You topped the Road to Nats.
I'm at top 4. Yeah, top 4.
Because I killed you. I got Road to Nats.
Bro, as soon as I got top 4, my brain turned off after all those hours, dude.
I say it all the time.
It was
honestly
so
the most
much
fun
time.
Flesh and Blood I've ever played was that game. We laughed the whole time. Like
I let Genesis stay up for 3 turns, I think, and I have no idea why.
I was happy about it. I was like, you keep doing that, man.
I'm sure you were.
I remember because you were my friend. Like I was like, we were both like, I was like, why aren't you killing Genesis? Like in between turns, I was like, what are you doing?
I thought I had something else going on. All I know is I was running on a high from beating the same chain player 2 rounds in a row to get to top 4 with Viscerai. So that felt pretty good. But he's gotten so many new tools, like Sonata Galaxia is such a cool new card to get. Like, and I've seen the Road to ProQuest winning list, possibly the one that we saw on that list that played Sonata Galaxia and cards like Blessings of the Occult, because you can pull that in from your deck, and then at the start of your turn you get 3 rune chance. So it feels like the classic kind of Viscerai, tempo Viscerai that I like loved playing back in the day, and I'd like to play that again. So
that's right.
That's what I'm leaning towards.
Let's go. Yeah. So I think I think we're good, man. I think I'm excited to get into this week. I'm gonna judge. Kind of nervous about it, but I think I'll do right. I used to judge more back in the day. There's new rulings that I hope I get right. I'm trying to like.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm sure it'll be fine with our local meta. Plus, if most people are playing KO, how many judge calls could you get for a hero like that?
Yeah, you're right. Anything else you want to bring up? Anything going on in your life, Ryan? You want to bring it to the people?
No, I'm excited to. I'm looking forward to making some more Riptide content again to talk about some of my feelings about building him, or going into detail about him moving forward, including the new cards we got revealed. But other than that, I'm hoping to pull out a win, I guess, with Viscerai in the next couple weeks with the ProQuest, and see where that takes me.
That's awesome. I hope you do well, man. Yeah, and I will be judging the Collective's ProQuest. If you're in the Central Florida area, it's a great store in Altamont Springs. Check us out. I'll be judging
this Sunday.
This coming Sunday, which is the 28th of April. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we'll be there. Check it out on Gem if you want to find it. If you're in the Central Florida area, like I said. Other than that, the next week after that is the Havens ProQuest. We'll probably be there. Talk about it next week's episode more as we get closer. And apart from that, I'm not Flesh and Blood related, getting into Grand Archive again a little bit, dipping my toes in a little bit again. Used to play it a lot, so
sticking his head back in to see what's changed.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, no, I'm excited for. I just want to. You know what? I just want to talk more about Part the Mistveil. We just haven't gotten anything recently, so hopefully next week.
This weekend was just Riptide and Ranger, so nothing with the new heroes that we want to talk about or are looking forward to in the next set. I'm happy, of course, myself, but I would like to see more spoilers from Part the Mistveil, so hopefully next week we'll have more to talk about on that front.
Absolutely. All right, and with that, this is Battleworn episode 6 signing off. We're out of here. Peace.
Later.